The first shot did not frighten me. The second one did. Not because it was harder, because after the second, I understood something no one in that stadium wanted to believe. England was not waiting to win. They were trying to take back a game they thought already belonged to them, and I was standing in the way. The scoreboard still looked wrong. USA mot, England come. I looked at it once, then I looked away. A goalkeeper should not stare at a scoreline too long. It can make you believe in things before the match is finished. And that day, belief was dangerous. My name was Frank Borghi. I was the goalkeeper for the United States. Not a famous man. Not the kind of footballer the world crossed oceans to watch. Back home, most of us were not treated like men about to make history. We were workers, students, club players, men who carried our boots ourselves and still had ordinary lives waiting on the other side of the tournament. England was different. Everyone knew England. Even people who did not follow every match understood what that shirt meant. They were the old power of the game, the country that believed football belonged to them before it belonged to anyone else. And I do not say that with mockery. I say it because it was true. They were strong. They were organized. They moved the ball with the confidence of men who expected the field to answer them. If you want to understand that day, you must understand this first. We did not beat a weak team. We survived a great one. The morning did not feel like a miracle. Miracles do not announce themselves. They arrive disguised as routine. Boots tied, shirts pulled on, hands taped, a few jokes spoken too loudly, a few quiet men staring at the floor. The stadium in Belo Horizonte had its own kind of heat. The air sat heavy. The grass looked brighter than it should have. The crowd did not sound like an American crowd or an English crowd. It sounded curious, as if the people had come to watch a result they already understood before it happened. England would win. The question was only how many. I remember standing near my goal and looking down at my hands. Goalkeepers' hands are strange things before a match. They feel too large and too small at the same time. Large enough to stop the ball, too small to stop what everyone expects. The whistle came, the game opened, and England came at us the way everyone thought they would. Fast, sharp, certain. The first attack made sense. The second made sense. The third made me begin to count breaths. I told myself this was normal. Of course they would press. Of course they would test us early. Of course the ball would spend more time near me than near their goalkeeper. That was the shape of the world everyone had accepted. England attacking, America holding. England asking questions, America trying to answer before the next question came. The first save was not beautiful. Most saves are not. People remember dives as if they are clean. In the moment, they are dirt, noise, a flash of color, a body moving before thought can catch up. The ball came through bodies. I saw it late. I moved. My hands met it hard enough to sting. For 1 second, there was only the weight of the ball against my palms. Then it was away. Not safe, just away. That is the life of a goalkeeper. You rarely end danger. You move it somewhere else. England came again. A cross, a shout, a boot swinging through, a body in front of me, the ball lifting, my feet adjusting, my eyes trying to find it against the sky. I caught one, pushed another, watched one pass close enough to make the crowd breathe before it missed. Every time the ball stayed out, the air changed a little. Not much. Not enough for anyone to admit, but I felt it. At first, England played like men waiting for the first goal. Then they began to play like men annoyed that it had not already arrived. That was the first sign that something was wrong. Not for us, for the story everyone had brought into the stadium. The story said they would score. The story said we would bend. The story said time would prove what everyone already knew. But time passed, and the ball did not cross my line. I did not think we were going to win. Not then. A goalkeeper cannot afford that kind of thought too early. I thought only about the next shot, then the next, then the next. Survival is not heroic when you are inside it. It is small. A step left, a shout to the defender, a hand raised, a decision to come forward, a decision to stay, a breath taken through the mouth because there is no time to breathe properly. Our defenders worked in front of me like men carrying something too heavy but refusing to drop it. Every clearance mattered. Every block mattered. Every ugly touch mattered. Football can be cruel to ugly things. It loves beauty afterward. It remembers the goal, the dribble, the perfect pass. But sometimes, history is protected by a ball kicked anywhere, as long as it is away from danger. Then came the moment no one expected. We moved forward. Not perfectly, not like England, not with the smoothness people came to admire, but forward. The ball found its way into their half. A shot came in. Joe Gaetjens threw himself toward it. For a second, the motion looked almost accidental. A body leaning, a head meeting the ball, a goalkeeper wrong-footed, a net moving. And then the stadium made a sound I had never heard before. Not joy, not yet. More like confusion becoming noise. I turned and saw our players running. I saw Joe. I saw arms raised. I saw England standing still for a heartbeat too long. Then I looked at the scoreboard. USA mort. England home. That was when the match truly began. Before the goal, England had been trying to win. After the goal, they were trying to correct reality. There is a difference. You could feel it in the speed of them, in the way they took free kicks, in the way they looked at the referee, in the way they hurried the ball back into play. They did not become weak. They became urgent. That made them more dangerous. A great team with time is difficult. A great team running out of time is something else. I told myself not to look at the clock. Then I looked anyway. Too much time. There is always too much time when you are protecting one goal. The grass felt longer. The penalty area felt wider. The goal behind me felt enormous. I had stood in goals all my life, but that day, the posts seemed to move farther apart each time England attacked. A shot came low. I saw it through legs. I went down. The ball struck my hands and tried to spin loose. For one terrible second, it was not mine. Then I pulled it in against my body. A boot passed close. A shadow crossed over me. I held the ball like it was the whole country. Maybe that sounds too large. It did not feel large then. It felt like leather, sweat, dirt, and the need not to let go. I stood up slowly, not because I wanted drama, because my hands were still feeling the shot. England watched me. I watched them. No one smiled. That is another thing people forget. The greatest upsets do not feel playful while they are happening. They feel like an argument with the world. The world says one thing, the scoreboard says another, and everyone on the field spends the rest of the match trying to find out which one is lying. The pressure rose minute by minute. Crosses came in. Clearances went out. The crowd leaned with every attack. My defenders shouted until their voices broke rough. I shouted too. Left, hold, away, again. Sometimes I do not know if the words helped anyone. Sometimes shouting is only the body refusing to be silent. Then came the choice I remember most. The ball was played into the area, high enough to tempt me, low enough to punish me. If I stayed, someone might reach it first. If I came and missed, the goal behind me would be empty. A goalkeeper lives inside that kind of decision. Stay or go, wait or move. Trust the line or leave it. There was no time to think about England, no time to think about America, no time to think about history, only the ball. I came. For a moment, I saw everything in pieces. A white shirt, a dark boot, the ball dropping, a defender turning, the sound of the crowd rising before anything had happened. I reached through bodies. My hands found the ball. Or maybe they found enough of it. Enough to kill the danger. Enough to make England start again. I landed hard. The ground knocked the air out of me, but the ball was not in the net. That was all that mattered. After that, I stopped asking how long was left. Time had become useless. A minute could last forever. 10 minutes could disappear in one attack. The only real clock was the next English movement toward my goal. They kept coming. That is why I respected them. Even as the match turned strange, even as the score refused to obey expectation, they kept coming. There was no comedy in their frustration, no foolishness. Only men who knew the game, knew their own level, and could not understand why the door would not open. And I understood them. If I had been on their side, I would not have believed it either. Another shot, another save, another clearance. The ball went out, came back in, went out again. A defender bent over with his hands on his knees, then straightened before England could see how tired he was. I remember the sound of my own breathing. I remember the taste of dust. I remember the strange quiet inside my head before each shot, as if the stadium stepped back and left me alone with the ball. That is the goalkeeper's loneliness. Everyone can run toward the same goal. Only one man stands in front of it. Late in the match, the scoreboard began to feel less like a mistake and more like a dare. USA mot, England không. The numbers stayed there, stubborn, plain, impossible. Every time I glanced up, I expected them to correct themselves. They never did. The final minutes were not football anymore. They were resistance. A ball driven forward, a body in the way, a whistle not yet blown, an English player turning sharply, a cross struck with anger, my feet digging into the grass, hands ready, eyes open. Do not blink. Do not guess too early. Do not believe it is over. Do not believe it is yours. A final attack came, or at least it lives in my memory as final. Maybe memory has gathered several attacks into one. That happens with pressure. The mind takes the last minutes and folds them together. But I remember the feeling. England near the box, the crowd rising, a ball sent toward danger, my body moving before fear could give an opinion. Then the ball was away, still out, still 1-0. And then, finally, the whistle. For a second, no one moved properly. That was the silence I remember. Not total silence. There were voices, there was crowd noise, there were men running toward each other. But beneath it all, something had gone quiet. The expectation, the certainty, the invisible thing that had stood behind England from the first minute. It was gone. I looked at the English players. Some had their hands on their hips. Some stared at the ground. Some looked toward the scoreboard, as if it might still explain itself. I did not feel like laughing. I did not feel like mocking them. They did not lose because they were weak. They lost because no one believed that day could happen. Not them, not the crowd, not the people waiting for the result across the ocean. Maybe not even us, until the whistle made belief unavoidable. We shook hands. That mattered to me. A match can shock the world and still end with men looking each other in the eye. England had attacked us with everything they had. We had survived with everything we had. The difference was one goal, one number, one afternoon that refused to follow its script. Later, people would call it a miracle. The miracle on grass. I understand why. It is a good name. Clean, easy to remember. But from inside the goal, it did not feel clean. It felt like work, pain in the hands, dirt on the shirt, a ball seen late, a decision made too quickly to be brave, a defender shouting, a crowd holding its breath, a scoreboard nobody trusted until the match was over. Years later, people wanted to talk about the score. USA mot, England không. They wanted to talk about disbelief, newspapers, headlines, the world checking whether the result was real. I understand that too. The score was the part history could carry, small enough to print, large enough to last. But I remember the things a score cannot hold. The weight of the first save, the sound of England coming again, the way my gloves felt heavier after each shot, the moment I looked up and the numbers were still there, the silence after the whistle, when the impossible stopped being an idea and became a result. History remembers the score. I remember standing in front of it, waiting for the next shot.